Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're doing one of my favorite whiskeys, one of my favorite annual releases, Dustin,
Yep.
the Lagavulin 12-year-old.
One of mine too.
2019. You know what I had to do to get this bottle here in the States?
You had to order it from Europe.
Yeah, that's all. Just went to a different website. Having said that, it was disappointing I couldn't go down to my local store and just buy, 5 or 6. I buy a case for my local guy every year. He gets a case in for me at the end of the year. I go in, give him a nice little tip, say happy holidays. It's a nice moment for us.
Yeah.
Starting with this 2019, we weren't able to get them in the U.S., so I had to source them overseas. But Lagavulin 12 is something I have more bottles of Lagavulin 12 than I have anything.
Now, do we know, is the 20 showing up here? I've not seen it anywhere.
The 20?
Yeah, the 2020 edition.
Lagavulin 12. Yes, it was here briefly, and a buddy of mine got a bottle, and he gave me a very similar review to what we're about to give you now in this 2019. I'll tell you why I don't have a 2020. So again, Dustin, as you know, I usually have 3 or 4. I usually buy about 6 of every vintage because this is a whiskey I love. As always, I believe it is lightly colored or no color whatsoever. Very light pale straw gold.
Yep.
This particular vintage comes in at 56.5% ABV, about average.
Yeah. Legs are, on one side they're kind of running pretty quick, and this other side they're not moving at all, which is weird.
Yeah, so new packaging, by the way, is starting with this 19 packaging that I appreciated, just to be transparent.
Yeah.
I prefer the square box. I prefer the old look of the Lagavulin 12. I loved it. I'm partial. I've been collecting them since the year 2014.
Yeah.
Not since 2014, for the last 6 years I've been collecting these.
I've always thought of Lagavulin like, you're going into somebody's library with rich mahogany wood and leather-bound books. And this is not that. This is Tommy Bahama on the beach.
Yeah.
And that's not where I want my Lagavulin.
Lagavulin, the label and everything always came off old and aristocratic to me. And that's kind of how I liked it. But hey, it's not my decision.
Yeah, well, we can talk about Talisker and how I kind of like it with Talisker.
So we'll give our thoughts here on the whiskey. So first impressions are they misbottled 8-year-old Lagavulin. More so than any vintage I've had everything going back to 2011. This one comes off very thin, even though it's 56.5% ABV, and almost dull, or the flavors have been dulled like a blunted knife.
Yeah. So as you know, the first time we had this, I said, "Hey, Mike, give me a 2-ounce sample. I'm going to go home and I'm going to compare this to 17 and 18."
You did that after we had this a few times and are going to give you very similar tasting notes here, which is, I thought maybe I was sick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I wasn't picking up the normal flavors that I picked up. Now, a lot of them are still there, but again, it's just like someone took a knife and smashed it into the ground until it was
When I get into the nose, and I did, the side-by-sides here, this smells like Lagavulin 12.
Yeah.
It's got all of the same elements. There's just something off. And it's that it's slightly more acidic. It's slightly more sour.
Definitely more sour.
There's a hint of like a baby spit that's more prevalent here, where it's kind of like, it's just making me go back to like, it's vanilla, it's young, and the cask they chose were just not right. And when you say it smells like the 8-year-old,
It kind of does.
it kind of does. I mean, it's cask strength 8.
Yeah, this almost seems like to me is like someone took a bottle of the 8-year-old and the 12-year-old and they mixed them together. Like this does not smell like the other ones smell.
Yeah.
It smells far younger, far more just alcohol forward.
Yeah.
The sourness in it is almost like they got some rotten casks or something that they just threw in there they had to do something with them.
And now that I'm kind of going back in here, I am getting hints of oak that I wouldn't get on the 8. So it also makes me think maybe Lagavulin cut corners and they took a wider cut of the whiskey. Maybe. They decided that it was time to they needed more product and hey, we're wasting 3% extra that we shouldn't. But on the nose, I'm telling you, whatever they did here that went off, this was wrong.
Yeah, this is easily the worst nosing Lagavulin 12 I've ever experienced. And again, I was so let down because I read a few reviews I saw online, and people thought it was still a good Lagavulin 12. It just from the moment I had it, and this is why I waited so long to bring the review. I was hoping it would get better, it just never did. What are you picking up on the palate?
It's Lagavulin 12, man. All the stuff I like in Lagavulin 12 is definitely coming through here. It's got a lot of vanilla. It's got that peachiness. It's got a spiciness of Lagavulin. It's coastal, yeah. It's got some barbecue. But at the finish though is where everything goes wrong for me, Mike.
Oh.
And all of a sudden that ethanol starts coming through again.
Yep, that's the best way to say it.
The spices are not. The finish is not classic Lagavulin spice even. It's
hot spice.
Yeah, it's bitier and it's not.
Yes.
But it's not like in like, oh, I want a more, like if you're somebody who wants an assertive, aggressive whiskey, you know, you want Booker's, you don't want Knob Creek, you don't want that refinement, you want punch in the face. You want, you complain that, you know, Lefroy overages their 10-year-old because you want it 3 days old. You want 3-year-old cask strength Lefroy. If you're that guy, I still don't think this is for you.
No, it's very, very alcohol forward. And the second you swallow it, because the palate's the best experience on this, but the second you swallow it, that just really alcohol astringency comes up right away. Bitter, sour wood. Mm-hmm. And then the peppery note, it's spicy peppery. It's almost like cinnamon caught on fire. And there was nothing left of the spice itself, but it was just like flakes of ash. And it's not...
Flakes of ash is actually the right...
It's not campfire gone cold. It's not like coal. It's not soot. It's just very burnt, charred earth. You know that nothing. It's nothing was left in its wake.
Yeah, and yet at the same time,
the salt.
It's thin. Like in the past, like especially what was it, the 2017 that everybody really loved. Mm-hmm. That one was waxy, not waxy, but it was rich, oily.
It was dense.
Yeah, I mean, like it felt like, oh yeah, they left the proteins and everything alone. This one, I'm getting alcohol. I'm getting bold. I'm not getting creaminess. And again, it's a little sharp on the tongue. And again, Lagavulins are always a little sharp on the tongue. It's only 12-year-old.
Sure.
And they're high proof, so but this is sharper. This is dry.
Yeah, this almost seems like the cask they used were used one too many times to get it to this point. I mean, I hate to point fingers as far as cask maturation and things like that, but this just feels like worn out, tired cask Lagavulin 12. And again, I went back and I compared it to a few of the other ones that I'd had. Mm-hmm. This is by far the worst example of Lagavulin 12 that I have in my collection. I have everything going back to 2013. It's by far the worst.
Yeah, now I will say this. Some people I've talked to don't pick up youth the way we do. They're a little slower to pick up on young versus older.
Well, it's still heavily peated and still high ABV.
Yeah. So, and I say that because I know there's people out there, for example, who like the Ardbeg Black more than I did. I couldn't get past the youth.
If you can't get past the youth, this isn't for you.
And this comes off again like an 8-year-old. Now you added water to these, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, and
it comes off a little saltier and brimier on the nose, which normally I don't welcome, but I do in this because it covers up the alcohol.
The nose is better now.
Yeah, again, it gets salty. You know what's reminding me of the 2017 Jazz Fest after we put water into it. After we had Mexican. It's at that level of salt.
And that was the one we had to review twice, right? Because the first time we were not ready for it.
No. But again, that same heavy salt element is here. It's salt lick almost.
Yeah.
On a post, on a farm.
Yeah, but it's not the carnitas. The meatiness is not here at all.
No, not at all.
No, it's just salt, brine, and...
Again, which is almost better than not with water.
And again, I keep coming back to that little bit of glue. And it's not the right descriptor. I guarantee you there's a better descriptor, but that's the closest I can get. Now, I already went in and tasted this, and I can just say the water made this bolder. It made it more spicy. And it didn't need it.
Yeah, it didn't need any more spice. It was already too spicy.
It was too spiced. Again, Lagavulin 12 always has this sweetness. It's oily, it's sweet, and you really come back to that sweetness. It's what makes Lagavulin 12 so good.
It's not there.
It's not here at all.
It's not there at all. And on top of that, the campfire notes went in the wrong direction. And what I mean by that is, again, what I usually got is like soot or campfire gone out too cold, which at least is like a coal taste to me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And there's really something to it, almost like a cooling mint note that comes along with it. With this, it's almost like, you ever watch that movie or the video game they made into a movie, Silent Hill? Like the whole thing of ashes are coming down.
I've not.
It's ashes. It's just white ash coming down with just maybe a twinge of mint that usually comes in and just does the finish so nice. But it's like coal fire ash sprinkling in the ground, like Mount St. Helens.
I mean, again, it's all the flavors you know of Lagavulin 12. They're done wrong.
Done wrong, yeah. Like the wrong things are turned up. The wrong things are turned down. I mean, it's like a child starts smacking around with an equalizer on a big stereo system.
It's like Gordon Ramsay recipe. You know it's gonna be good. You've got all the ingredients, but somebody comes in there and measures everything with like the wrong.
Yeah, they got it backwards.
They randomly choose the spoons, and then they just kind of picked. Oh, a tablespoon. Okay, let's use a teaspoon. Yeah,
no, this is just. You're right. The parts are there.
Yeah.
Just turned in all the wrong directions. You know, I always want to like with this. The phrase that comes to mind is, right size, wrong shape. Like I see, like you had the right pieces, you just put it together wrong. Like maybe puzzles aren't for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's something the kid needed a hammer to get that last piece in.
And you know how much it hurts me to say that. You know how much I love Lagavulin. I mean, I bought 2 of these sight unseen, like I always do with all the Lagavulins.
Yeah.
And I continue to buy Lagavulin. It's my favorite distillery.
I'd been debating picking one up for a while, but I kind of just kept assuming you'd get one first so I could try it out. And once you gave it to me, I was like, oh.
This is just a hardcore disappointment, which just brings it inevitably to what the whiskey score is, and I'm gonna go first.
Go.
82 out of 100. This is barely worth reviewing.
It's not worth reviewing. I was thinking a little higher. I was thinking like an 84 was where I was at. I'm debating 83. You know, let me give one little sip here.
This was, here in Ohio, the 2020s, I mean, they were up to $150 plus tax. This isn't a $150 whiskey. This isn't a $100 whiskey. This isn't an $80 whiskey. This is the worst.
There's that finish. No, 83.
The worst Lagavulin I've ever tried, and I have tried dozens of individual bottles of Lagavulin.
Yeah,
if you watch this channel,
I will drink. I mean, I will drink this. We're not saying it's undrinkable. It's so awful you won't drink it if you're in the mood for a Lagavulin, but I got better whiskey to drink.
I just watched Christmas Vacation because of the holidays, and you remember how Clark was waiting for his bonus check, and instead he got a Jelly of the Month club, and he's like, "If this isn't the biggest head over the back punch in the face I've ever gotten in my life," that's what I feel about. That's what I feel about the 2019 Lagavulin 12. I gave it. Again, I don't want to talk disparagingly about Lagavulin.
And again, look at this.
I gave it this entire bottle. Hopefully, it got better. It never got better.
Yeah, I mean, you've had this for 6-9 months. I mean, this is not something you just picked up, and we've been.
It never got better.
Again, I've taken samples home.
We've
been jaw-droppingly shocked that this was not
how bad this was. We tried to think of everything. Yeah. We thought maybe we got coronavirus. We haven't had coronavirus for 10 months.
I mean, I legitimately am like, because a bad Lagavulin 12 should be an 86 or 7. Like, that's a bad one.
Sure.
Like, that's like, okay, because I mean, heck, that 2017, that's probably an 88, 89.
89 all day, maybe even a 90. I mean, I love it.
It's getting close. It's getting close.
There are some whiskeys. It's a dependable thing I can count on all the time, like Balvenie 15-year-old single barrel. Something I can depend on. Lafroig 18. I know what it is.
It's one of the whiskeys that used to be fairly reasonable value. And keep in mind, Mike, you know what these things are going for?
Yeah,
it's
you know, 150, 160.
Keep going. 200? 200 is the retail now. Lagavulin 12 in Kentucky.
Yeah, save yourself. Save yourself from this disappointment. 19, I didn't have the 20, but a trusted friend of mine picked up the 20, and we were comparing notes, and before I told him my thoughts, he gave me the exact same thoughts here, and I thought the same thing. I said, Sean, I'm not buying that, man. He's like, you're kidding me. You buy Lagavulin, right? And I was just like, no, I'm not doing it. Dude, I have another 2019 because I bought 2 at the same time. Yeah. I won't even give that away as a gift or sell it to somebody. I will take that bottle to my grave. It's that disappointing.
Yeah, nobody needs to be disappointed yet. I mean, this isn't what we buy. Lagavulin, do something.
What happened?
Guys, this is not your whiskey.
This is a poor effort. Anyway, we're done. We're done beating a dead horse. White horse. I don't know.
This is definitely not a white horse.
No, definitely not that. You went from a white horse to a dead horse. That's what this thing is. Anyway, it's a sad day to say so. Worst Lagavulin review I've ever given. Let us know what you think in the comments section. Dustin, until next time, what do you wish the folks?
Better drinking.
Better, some besides this.
Yeah.
See you next time.